to the flag
of the United States of America,
to the republic for which it
stands,
one nation,
under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Roll call, all members are present. Approval of the agenda, we have two changes. Or one change for right now, 7J, approve resolution 2020-46, authorizing the use of the MnDOT right-of-way. And we also received a petition from the local bars. I'll leave that up to the council if they want that put on as new business 9B. So what's your choice? Doesn't make any difference to me either way.
I would say let's leave that off for now.
Leave it off. Okay. Diane?
Doesn't make any difference to me either way, Warren.
Okay. Keith?
Makes no difference to me. Leave it off, I guess.
Okay. Joe?
I don't know. I guess I'm open to discussing it, but if the council's wishes are to leave it off, we can keep it off.
Well, it's one of those items that we haven't had a chance to research. We just received it yesterday. So that's the reason why I'm just checking. Let the council make that decision.
I only got notice an hour ago, so like you, I would like to, look into it.
You just got the email with it yesterday? Okay. Or an hour ago, I should say. Okay. General consensus, we leave that off until the next meeting?
That's fine.
Okay.
Yep, I agree.
Okay, that one there, we will wait until the next meeting. Then do I have a motion to approve the agenda with one addition, the use of MnDOT right away?
Motion to approve.
A motion by Diane. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Keith. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 5 in favor, none against. We now have our public open. We have the approval of the minutes. Sorry. May 20th, 2020 meeting. I'll receive them in your packet. Is there any changes, corrections, clarification needed? Hearing nothing, do I have a motion to approve the minutes of the May 20th, 2020 meeting?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion by Joe. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Diane. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 5 in favor, none against. Public open forum. This is the time for anyone in the public that wants to speak to the council. Is there anyone out there that would like to speak?
This is Stacy Michaels with the Chamber of Commerce. And I was going to turn on my video, but it gives the message saying the host shut my video off.
You're good.
All right.
No.
Yep. It looks like the host shut it off. So I know the discussion was tabled regarding the petition from the bars. But when you go to discuss this in the future, I would like to just give a couple of pieces of information regarding what's circulating out there and the feelings amongst those bar owners that signed the letter. So if that's okay with you, I would like to share some of the background regarding that letter for you to ponder prior to your next meeting when it's added to the agenda, if that's okay.
Sure. You're gonna give us that information so he can think about it before the next meeting.
Yes. So I sent out an email, and Vicki was included in that a couple weeks ago regarding the locations around us in the communities, and some of it included details what those communities did for our bar owners in regards, or for their bar owners in regards to prorating, reduction of fees, things along that lines. And that list was quite lengthy and it's not complete. There's definitely more than what was listed. To add to the list of the email details that I had sent to Vicki, and the bar owners have been filling in some additional ones. In addition, Long Prairie, Melrose, and Alexandria should be added to the list if you've seen, hopefully, the list that I had sent. The bar owners feel this could go a long way in making an impact on their ability to maintain their business during a time when they've been hit so incredibly hard. And communities around us have implemented these pro ratings, and some communities, without even having been asked by the bar owners, have stepped up to make changes, just knowing that this is the thing to do. In addition, Pat Winters from the Bear Trap did bring this idea up in April, and I had attended the April meeting when it was first brought up just for simple discussion. And I was on that call when the decision was made to just kind of do 3 installments. And the comment was made that there weren't any, they weren't aware of any other communities that were currently providing prorating. And to that, I would say that I had already at that point provided Pat some details, and I believe Pat had provided them to Keith Johnson regarding the list of communities at that point that we were aware of that had already implemented something. And since then, every community around us has implemented something too. So I'm just coming to you to let you know that we have a lot of information regarding what kind of plans have been put in place, and looking for your help for our businesses in regard. And actually, there were a few that were intending to be on the call tonight, but being they're open for business, they're working their bars now. So 4 of them for sure had planned on attending, but are currently serving burgers and beers. So that's a good sign. In the long run, though, it's revenue for the city, and it's in our interest to help them out. And there's a wide range from prorating to refunds. I'm sure everybody's heard of Cold Spring doing the $1 fee plus giving them back 3 months worth of fees. But if you have any questions, or if you're interested in some of the communities that I'm aware of, I'd be happy if you reached out to share additional details. But it would go a lot, and also just in a public sense. But I know it's supposed to be limited to 3 minutes, but I'll leave it. If you have any questions for me, I'd love to answer it, but it would go a long ways.
Thank you. The one thing that I'm just comment on is speaking to Melrose, they haven't acted on any of this yet.
Sorry, Warren. Stacy, can you mute yourself? Sorry, we're getting feedback.
Feedback, sorry.
Okay. Melrose hasn't acted on anything yet. Vicki was in talk with in administrators meeting. I know Albany was going to do something on their agenda possibly tonight. We were tonight, and Melrose is sitting back and waiting. So I know Melrose isn't included on anything like that. Cold Spring, I wasn't able to talk to yet. So we'll take it into consideration. One of my guide things when this first came up is we've had other places in town that were closed down just as much. You couldn't even offer curbside. And I don't want to set a precedence if we do something with the bars and then have someone else walk in and say, well, you gave them this much money, why don't you give me this, because I was more closed down than what they were. So that's just discussion for right now and an answer. We'll just take care of that at the next council meeting. Is there anyone else out there that would like to speak to the council? Is there anyone else that would like to speak to the council? Our public open forum is now closed. Thank you, Stacy. We now have a public hearing Public hearings creating TIF District 1-13. It's on there.
Okay, so as part of the process for considering and approving the creation of a tax increment finance district, we do have to have a public hearing. Tammy Amdahl from Northland Securities, she is on the line and she will be able to address her memo that she had sent out outlining what we are attempting to do. I did include in your packet again the notice of hearing and her evaluation of the assistance. And when she speaks, you'll think the development district is the entire city limits, and the tax increment financing district 113 is the old racetrack property. So you get an idea of the area that we're talking about, and that was included in the map. And I'll just turn this over to Tammy to kind of go over the terms and conditions of how we set up this district. And then if there's any public that has any comment, they'll be able to chime in at that after that time. So Tammy, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you, Vicki. Mayor, City Council, this is Tammy Umdahl with Northland Securities. The city received an application for tax increment financing assistance from Felling. And a tax increment district of this type would be an economic development district. Before I begin going through my memo, I would note that there was a plan prepared pursuant to what's required by statute. That TIF plan was provided to the county and school district at least 30 days before this hearing. And as of the date of this hearing, I have not received any written or otherwise communication from the school or the county. And Vicki, I believe that is true for the city as well, correct?
That is correct. And also the council has that plan in front of them as well.
Great. I understood that to be the case. So the proposed request is to provide tax increment assistance to assist with construction of what will eventually be 135,000 square foot manufacturing building. And I am certain everyone in the room or on Zoom is aware of this business. Have the city having approved a TIF district several years ago for other improvements for the company. The first phase is estimated to include approximately 96,000 square foot building. And that first phase is projected to commence or be completed in 2021, which means the first year of tax increment, if the council approves this evening, would be 2023. Tax increment, how it functions is it allows the city, upon approval of a tax increment district, to capture the increase in the local property taxes. And for those who are reviewing my memo, I'm actually, and you don't need to turn there, but if you have it up, I'm going to go to page 4. So with the completion of the project, the total annual real estate taxes are estimated at approximately $285,000. Approximately $190,000 of that would be captured in the TIF district and available to reimburse, I will refer to the company as the developer, reimburse the developer for certain project costs, including land acquisition, site improvement, and utility. The other remaining nearly $96,000 is real estate taxes, property tax, that would continue to be distributed to the city, the school district. The school district taxes would increase because there is a school referendum, and referendum taxes are not captured within TIF districts. So that would be an immediate increase to the school district, county, and then the other taxing jurisdictions. State of Minnesota commercial property taxes cannot be captured within tax increment districts. So approximately $65,000 out of the total $285,000 of real estate taxes would be payable to the state of Minnesota. What is being proposed for your consideration, should you act to approve the TIF district, is that the city would use tax increment and the amount of to reimburse $1.4 million project costs of the developer. It would be on a pay-go basis. So as the city collects the taxes, the tax increment, the city would make reimbursement payments semi-annually to the developer, payable with interest at a rate of 5%. If phase 2 is constructed sooner, then there will be more increment generated. if phase 2 is constructed later than anticipated, or for sake of discussion, not constructed at all, the city then would reimburse only to the extent there's increment available. So it's possible under that scenario, after 9 years, you would not have reimbursed the full 1.4 million. The district would end and the agreement with the developer would end. So the process tonight is that you're following the public hearing. You will consider a resolution. That resolution, if so approved, would establish the TIF district. Secondly, if you approve it, then there is consideration of a resolution providing for the terms of an agreement to be prepared for that assistance of the 1.4 million. And they will need to provide evidence of those costs before the city would issue a note to them to reimburse. With that, Mayor, Council, I am going to pause for questions.
Council have any questions?
No.
Doesn't look like it. Go ahead, Tammy.
Mayor, Council. So as I mentioned, this plan was provided to the county and school. There was a notice in the newspaper. This, if granted, would be considered a business subsidy. So along with this hearing fulfilling the need for tax increment financing requirements, it was also noticed as a business subsidy hearing because of the amount. So that, Mayor, Council, that concludes my remarks. And again, happy to answer any questions that may come up.
Council have any questions, concerns? Is there anyone joining the meeting from the public that would like to make comment in favor or against? Is there anyone in the public that would like to say they're in favor or against, or just needs clarification? All a third time, is there anyone that wants to speak in favor or against this TIF district?
Can you hear me, Warren?
Yep. Now I can.
Okay, wonderful.
Oh, hi, Brenda.
Okay, wonderful. Hi. So I'm on my phone instead of my computer. It's just easier to hear, better to hear.
Well, we can
Brenda
see you,
Dennison
so.
with, well, good. Before it was, my camera was shut off. With Felling Trailers, just wanted to let you know, I think Paul may be on the line as well. But we're super excited about this project. Obviously, we've had conversations before, and we have another production facility in Litchfield, Minnesota, and they've expanded there. We've looked at other opportunities in other states. I get calls all the time by economic development authorities throughout the United States and even Canada. And at the end of the day, you know, we purchased this property with plans to develop it and really to contribute to the vibrancy of Sauk Center, and that's what we want to do. So we're really excited about what this will do for our community and continue to do for our community. Obviously, the large tax base, there's lots of things that our city can do with that. So we're really, really, really excited about it. Let me know if you have any other questions.
Anyone on the council have any questions for Brenda?
No.
Guess not. Thank you, Brenda.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that wants to speak in favor or against this project? Council have any last concerns?
Nope.
Nope.
No,
Okay, our public hearing is now closed. We will take action on this later. Reports and presentations, EDA report. Vicki?
Before a couple of you have mentioned your video is turned off, and I've been turning off videos because not everybody has high-speed internet, and we have too many videos on, they buffer too much and they can't hear. So I try to keep in the council meetings the videos to the council and then who's ever speaking. So I'm not turning you off because I don't want to hear from you. I just don't want to see you right now. Okay, the EDA report. The EDA met in regular session today, actually at noon. They had a couple items on their agenda. They requested additional information for an applicant for our emergency loan program. They weren't quite ready to act on that yet because they were seeking some additional information. They also approved a cost share proposal for a feasibility study for a proposed business on the Unger Acres south of town. And then they also are looking to act as a fiscal agent for a microgrant program, but we're still waiting for our legal review on that. So if the legal review comes back that it is a public purpose expenditure that is authorized, then they would be moving forward with the city acting as a fiscal agent for that microgrant. If we get to that point and we get something back from the attorney to the positive, then we would start acting in that capacity if we're still asked to do so. So that's it for the EDA report.
Any questions, concerns? Okay, park board report.
The park board met in regular session last night at 5 p.m. They did receive the public works report on park related items. There's a lot of things happening in the park world right now. And Ben will have all that in his public works report at the next council meeting. The kayaks and paddle boards are here and they're proposed to be available for rental on June 5th. So that's something that at this time you'll be renting out through the campground office, signing a waiver, and then they were actually building the rack for them by the boat landing today. They tabled action on the Browns Park restroom pending some additional quotes. I think the quote came a little higher than they expected, so they're reaching out to get some other quotes or perhaps looking at some different design. They also talked about the master park plan updates. It hasn't been updated for many years now, and so they're just starting to do some of the legwork for that and to see whether or not we want to take that on. And also they are recommending that we do the mosquito control in Sinclair Lewis Park and Campground this year. They normally do it every year around for Sinclair Lewis days in the middle of the summer, and they're recommending we continue to do that due to the use of the park. And they have no action items for you tonight.
Okay, questions, concerns?
Just that the beach looks really nice.
The beach turned out very good. In fact, yesterday or today, I believe it is, they used the little 3-wheel rake, power rake that they use on the ball fields on it. And it really looks good. So
Yep.
It's really being heavily used already.
Oh,
So,
I believe it.
quite a few people.
The one thing, Vicky, is off the shoreline of the lake, has that been scoured for anything as far as cleanliness? Is no metal, no anything else out there?
We have sent our seasonal workers out there, and they have been out going back and forth and picking up and getting actually metal and some pieces of glass. And so we did post out there for the public that this is still under development and to watch for that. And it's kind of become a treasure hunt for kids. And so now they're out there searching for it. So we took a garbage can down there today so they had a place to put it. So it is posted that it's basically still under development and we are finding debris, but it's actually turning out quite well.
Okay, sounds good. And we will move on. City engineer report.
All right, Mayor and Council. Sorry, I don't have such a tranquil background as Vicky has, so you'll just have to deal with what I have here. Short report tonight, I think, on the North project, the 2018 project, the wear course paving was installed earlier this week. Hopefully, maybe you've got a chance to see that. Let's see, Vicky's asked me to start my video. I thought I did. Now maybe you can see it. So the paving was done earlier this week, so that's good, and it's finished on there. The seeding yet, we have asked the contractor to reseed some areas that are a little bit shy, so those things will be getting redone and try to get some growth, a little bit more substantial growth growing in some of those areas. So that's kind of where that is going on that project. Now the 2020 project, so the new one that'll be starting, the actual tree removals on both sections of the project will be starting tomorrow morning. I know that each of you, I think, received an email from Dana Boucher regarding some concerns with the ash borer, and I'll address that here. First of all, the guidelines, and Ben, so I don't know if Ben's on, I didn't see him on, but Ben and I have discussed about the ash borer as well. The guidelines of those dates are just that, they are guidelines. So those can change. What's really important is the 50-degree heating degree days. And there's a threshold of 450 of heating degree days above 50 that's in the year. We are not there yet, although we are getting close. We have probably another 6 or 8 days before, and that's when the adults potentially can come out of the trunk. So we feel it's okay to be able to take down those trees. The DNR, as well as the Department of Ag, Minnesota Department of Ag, have stated that we can continue with those kinds of projects as needed to just try to minimize if possible, but we are under that threshold for the dates when the heating degree days, when those ash borers come out, begin to come out, that is. So we feel comfortable with that. So if there's any questions specifically on that, I'll go a little bit further and we can circle back and you can ask on those. The project itself, they're proposing to get started as well on June 15th. They'll start with some other of those removals, temporary water, those kinds of things will occur. They'll be starting on the north portion of the project and then moving to the south project. So that's where they'll be moving there. Newsletters are going out to the residents as well, so they'll get notified of those things. Easements, we have all but one easement on the north property, and that's because we have to wait till the actual sale takes place on that one. It's one that it's not overly critical, so we're okay at this point, but hopefully that sale will occur soon and we'll get the new owners to get that easement on there. And I have in the past mentioned the Gopher Prairie Motel and the Getty Street project. There's a couple little curb issues that need to get redone, and they're actually getting poured this week. And so by next week, we should be able to button everything up, and that one will be finished. So with that, that's already all the updates I have, and I'd be happy to entertain any questions you might have, and maybe particular about those ash borers if you'd like.
Council have any questions?
None here.
The ash borers was a primary concern, but as long as the Department of Ag and the DNR are giving us the guidelines, I see no reason not to continue. So.
Yeah, and like I said, we are under those heating degree days. 450 is the threshold. As of yesterday, which was a warm day, we were at 326. And yesterday we gained about 20 out of, to be added. So you can imagine today was cooler. So we figure there's at least 6 to 8 days before we'd even meet that minimum threshold. So we feel pretty comfortable, both what they said and that we're at those heating degree days, below those critical heating degree days.
Any other questions from the council?
Just clarification on the project dates. You said the north project's beginning first?
Let me just check. Did I say that backwards? I'm sorry. The south project's beginning first. I'm sorry.
Okay.
South part of the project's beginning first, and then the north project.
Okay.
Any other questions? Thank you, Keith.
Thank you.
We'll move on to action items. Approve resolution 2020-41, creating TIF District 1-13.
So in front of you, you have that resolution, and that approves the modification of the Development District 1, which is the city limits, establishes Tax Increment Financing District 1-13, which is the west half of the racetrack, and then approves the TIF plan. Approval will authorize us, after we get the developer contract in place, to return the increased property tax paid as a result of the new construction back to the owner, to reimburse for eligible expenses incurred to construct the project in exchange for new livable wage jobs and new tax base. Kind of a very brief summary. And so with that, I would ask for approval of resolution 20-20 or 2020-41.
Questions, concerns? Do I have a motion to approve resolution 2020-41?
So moved.
I'll
A motion
second,
by
Warren.
Keith,
I'll second.
second by Diane. Any last comments or concerns? All the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. 7B, approve resolution 2020-42, authorizing interfund loan.
This resolution authorizes the city to advance money to itself into the new TIF district to pay for the city costs, which are administrative costs, until the revenue stream begins. The city proposes to retain 5% of the available increment for these costs. This would repay the advanced money. So this is Resolution 2020-42, authorizing the interfund loan for advance of certain costs in connection with Tax Increment Finance District 1-13.
Questions, concerns? Do I have a motion to approve resolution 2020-42?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Joe. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Heidi. Any other questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. 7C, approved development contract for TIF District 1-13.
This is the third part of the proposal, and this one does not have to be adopted tonight, but I'm leaving it there for your decision. This is the contract that actually sets the parameters for returning the funding to Fajera or Felling. And this is an agreement that's currently at city or at attorney review. So if you agree with the terms and conditions that Tammy outlined, then you could approve the contract, or I could bring the thing back to you at the next meeting for full review. And that is up to you. So I'm going to leave that at this point, or if you want to conditionally approve it for final approval to happen after we have the actual contract in hand, that would be fine as well.
What's the council's wishes? You want to act on it now, or do you want to wait until the next meeting?
Sounds good to me. Mark.
Is that a
The other
motion?
actions that you took actually, the other actions you took actually set the district up and set it in motion. This is the contract directly with Fajera or Felling or Fajera to return the funding. So it's kind of a two-step process.
Won't hold up anything if we wait, will it?
No,
Okay. Sounds like pretty much everything's in place, so I guess I would make a motion, we go forward with it.
Okay, we have a motion from Keith to approve the development contract for tax increment financing district 1-13. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Diane. Any other questions or concerns? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. 7D, approve resolution 2020-43 declaring equipment excess and advertising for sale.
so the new hot mix trailer that we had recently purchased, they have now been in use for a couple weeks. And at the time that we did the approval to purchase, we understood that the old trailer would no longer be needed or used. But this is the resolution authorizing the staff to offer the old trailer for sale. So it's resolution 20-20 or 2020-43 declaring the property excess and advertising for sale.
Questions, concerns? Do I have a motion to approve resolution 2020-43?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Joe. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Heidi. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. 7E, we removed that one, right, Vicky?
Yes, yes, we did.
7F, approve extension of premise permits on sale liquor.
So we did, as you know, June 1st, it was available for the bars and the restaurants to do outside dining. And so we have the following have done their on-sale premise permit extensions, which are Next Door Bar, Crazy Days, Palmer House, American Tap, American Legion, M&M, and Bear Trap. And El Mezcal was waiting to see if we were going to allow the MnDOT usage because that was what you have on your agenda tonight. So And that they would also be in that process. We're just waiting for this other action tonight. So what I'm looking for tonight is just for the city council to ratify those premise extension applications. Nobody went out into Sinclair Lewis Avenue. They went into out the back of their stores or into their parking lot. The one that is on city right of way is the corner bar, where they go out the side door and then down the sidewalk to access the back of that bar. So all the rest of them are on their own property.
Okay, questions, concerns?
Good idea.
Do what they need.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we don't need any action on that, right, Vicky?
I would like you to ratify that because
Okay.
those were conditionally approved by me.
Do we have a motion to ratify the premise extension applicants?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Joe. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Heidi. All the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. 7G, approved fireworks display.
The last council meeting, we talked about the potential of holding a fireworks display. The vendor that was used by the chamber was contacted, and they have basically penciled us in for that same date, pending the outcome of this meeting. They're flexible to move to a later date if we get closer and decide to postpone. Given the current parameters of the governor's order, we would not be able to authorize food vendors, alcohol vendors, trinket sales, or any other function that would encourage people to gather in the park. The display would be fireworks only, and the council should encourage people to watch from cars or boats and to maintain distancing recommended at that time. A fundraising campaign is being developed. All funds will be accounted for separately by the city. Any excess funds over the contract amount could be held over for 2021 and go to make that even a better display next year. So I'm bringing it to the council tonight to see if they want to approve moving forward with the fireworks display, or if you feel that is something we should not do. And so now it is in your hands.
Questions, comments?
I just want to mention or comment on the fact that this is typically a Chamber of Commerce event, and when we decided to move on this based on a private party's request, it wasn't with the intent to step on the toes of the chamber. And I recognize that there are a lot of businesses that would like to be involved in this and financially can't. So appreciate the private sector that is able to step up, but also appreciate the businesses for still continuing with the chamber and not, hopefully not being upset with the city for moving forward with having the fireworks. And it's not to take over and say, you know, we're going to do this regardless, and you guys are just kind of bye-bye. That wasn't our intent. And I hope that the chamber recognizes that.
Very well said. Thank you.
Now, with when we discussed it last meeting, I thought the kind of the plan was there was going to be the fundraising, and maybe another group was going to actually be putting it on versus the city. Did something change in that regards, or did I misunderstand that?
What they wanted to do was they wanted to raise the funds and turn it over to us to actually be the host of them. It's on our property. We can enter into the contract. We're covered insurance-wise and those types of things. It just logistically made more sense for us to sign the contract, and they would turn those funds over to the city to go into that fund. So that was really the gist of how it was, and they felt that it just made more sense that way, and that way they wouldn't have to privately collect the money, I guess, and hold the money. They thought it would be better to turn it to the city and have it accounted for here.
Okay.
One of the things too is, irregardless of who holds it, the fire department is going to have to be there. So they could possibly be the recipients of that donated money and then go from there is one of the ideas. As far as who they would turn it over to right now, I'm not sure, but that was one of the ideas that we did have. So I don't know if I made that as clear as mud or not, but
I think tonight's meeting is really to decide, are you going to permit the use of the park for a fireworks display on July 17th or any date later due to the governor's order restrictions that people are concerned about? Or are you thinking, no, we don't want to? Because they didn't want to start a fundraising campaign and then the city say, no, you can't do it. And in discussion with a lot of people, there was like, well, this is one thing that maybe can still happen. And so it was one thing for people to get out and do that. We can encourage the social distancing that is being requested.
any other comments? Personally, I think it's something that we need to do just to start trying to get back to a normal. I know there's other cities that are carrying their fireworks and doing their thing, and I just seen the people that showed up just for the graduation parade. They're looking for something more on the positive, and with the fireworks, I think that's another step forward. So there's no other discussion. Do I have a motion to approve moving forward with the fireworks display?
I'll make the motion to approve, Warren.
Motion by Diane. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Keith. Any other comments or concerns? Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. 7H, approve micro grant fiscal agent program.
So this is what the EDA spoke about regarding the legality of acting as a fiscal agent for this program. I see that Sarah from the Community Foundation is on, and I'd like to know maybe if she could speak to it a little bit. She was on the call on how that might happen, and if you would allow her to speak, I would certainly ask you to let her do that, I guess.
I have no problems with that, unless someone else does.
Oh,
No.
Okay, welcome, Sarah.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. I'm Sarah Carlson. I'm the Executive Director of the Sauk Center Area Community Foundation. Thanks for letting me join your conversation. This is an idea that was brought forward by a community member who was also on our Sauk Center Community Foundation board, and felt that we needed to try and provide some sort of non-loan options for some of our businesses that were deeply impacted during the shutdown or continue to be completely disabled during the shutdown. So we checked into some opportunities, got a little bit of data about it, and approached the city in your role as EDA to see if you would be willing to serve as fiscal host, what that would mean. We're still working out based on what your legal opinion might be. But the idea is that small micro grants, non-repayable, no effort to repay would be necessary, would be made to businesses affected by the shutdown. Stacy has created a list of those that would be most likely to be approached for applications during the first phase, and the dollars would come from charitable sources. We do have 3 commitments already in my pocket if we get the green light to move forward to start that project and we could start putting those dollars out. The micro grants are really, they are not large. These would be $250 to $500 depending on the size of the fund and how many people need them, but there would be a process and an application with a blind review committee to actually make decisions about who actually receives those dollars. So I will say that regardless of whether the city chooses to stand as fiscal agent through the EDA, which I would highly recommend, but if you cannot do that, we do have a Plan B option, and this option will move with or without the city.
Okay. Council have any questions, concerns?
We did have a question this afternoon regarding the application process. and of course, we still have to get the green light from our legal side, but if we were green lighted, was the community foundation looking at the council or city of Sauk Center being the fiscal agent and also the application reviewer, or is there a separate, I heard you say a blind review committee? So we would not be involved with the approval denial process, correct?
At a minimum, if the city is the fiscal agent, we would probably need someone to be there as an ad hoc non-voting member to make sure that the decisions are in alignment with city policy or procedure as recommended by legal counsel. But no, you would not necessarily need to make those decisions. We've already had 4 folks who are more than qualified step forward and say that they would serve on the blind review committee.
Okay.
Any other questions? I just have one. Is doing the paperwork and us guys becoming a fiscal agent, is that going to take up an awful lot of administrative time for us, or is that little or none? I don't know if Sarah or if Vicky can answer that.
Well, I'll just speak on behalf of the foundation. It really depends. If the foundation is the recipient entity where we're collecting the charitable donations, doing all the receipting, doing all of that, then we would simply grant back one time or over a series of times to the city. If it exceeds the city's policy of what your staff can accept without ratification by the board, then we would have to prepare a resolution for the city to act on receiving the funds. But then it would be a matter of the fiscal agent actually paying out the checks to the recipients.
Okay. Any other concerns, questions? Is there any action? According to my sheet here, Vicky, there isn't any action requested.
I guess what I'm asking for is to authorize the EDA or the city to act as the fiscal agent pending the attorney's review that this would be a valid public purpose expenditure.
Okay. Everyone understand?
Yeah.
What we're looking for? Does anyone want to make a motion to that fact, or?
I'll make the motion that the EDA acts as the fiscal agent subject to the review by our legal counsel.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Heidi. Any other discussion, concerns? Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. Thank you, Sarah. 7I, approve resolution 2020-45 declaring Sauk Center as Second Amendment sanctuary city. I'm going to suggest we make that dedicated city.
So just a little background, several counties have adopted resolutions declaring their respective jurisdictions a Second Amendment sanctuary county. Some have substituted the word dedicated, which Warren has just brought up. And Stearns County was presented with a resolution for adoption earlier in the year. They declined to act on the resolution. At that time, they were only acting on budget-related resolutions. Because they did not declare the county as a Second Amendment sanctuary county, this attached resolution in front of you declares the city of Sauk Center as one. The effect of the resolution is a message that the city council expresses its opposition to laws that would restrict the constitutional rights of the citizens of Sauk Center to keep and bear arms. This is not changing any laws that are out there right now. This just basically says we want to be a dedicated city for the Second Amendment. And I did include the resolution that was proposed by the coalition that is promoting this. So this isn't one I made up. This is one that the coalition has already vetted. And I would say that according to the mayor, if you choose to adopt it, that all the reference to sanctuary becomes dedicated, because the reason for that is sanctuary tends to have people thinking of immigration. And we didn't want to confuse the two. So any place in there where it says sanctuary become dedicated instead. And Warren, I think you might want to address this. Mayor Stone or Warren is the one that brought this up to me to have it on the agenda for discussion tonight. And I did include the website so you could do your own research prior. I don't know if you have any questions.
Council have any questions so far? This is something that, like Vicky said, I did bring to put on the agenda. Basically, as we know, some of our higher forms of government, state and even national, are starting to go against what the Constitution stands for. And I know of a lot of people that don't like the idea of losing any of their rights based on the Constitution. At one point, I was tempted to bring it that we recognize the Constitution as the main rules of the city of Sauk Center, but I figured we'd go one step at a time. And Second Amendment gets close to home with everybody in outstate Minnesota. I talked to the police chief. He had a few concerns. I think he's right now safe with the idea that if it happens, because his concern was that someone's going to say, well, I'm in Sauk Center and I broke the law and you still can't take my gun away from me. That's not the intent. The intent is to own a firearm or to even carry a firearm is a right and a privilege. And at any point in time that you break the law, you lose that right. And it is not going to infringe on anything that local law enforcement is going to have to contend with. This is basically saying that if the state goes and inputs a red flag law and any other rules, that the city of Sauk Center we will not follow it. And we will protect the rights of the city, the citizens of Sauk Center. Is there any questions, concerns?
Great idea, Warren. I support it 100%.
Okay. Anyone else?
I was just gonna relay that in kind of layman's terms to those who want the simplest explanation of this. If the state decides that they're going to implement a law regarding our use or our right to own guns, then aside from those that disallow felons and the other rights taken away by committing a crime, if the state passes a resolution, we're basically grandfathering ourselves in by passing this sanctuary city resolution, correct?
Right.
Okay.
Yes. You know, not that long ago, I wrote a letter to the governor based on another issue, and I got hit with the fear fact that that letter wasn't done in a resolution form, and the letter I wrote wasn't worth the paper it was wrote on because of it. And at the same time, I had people say, well, they don't recognize the Constitution. What does the word resolution make? What difference does that make? So in this form, those people have got their resolution, and it shows that the city of Sauk Center is going to back everybody as far as when it comes to the constitutional rights that our forefathers have given us. So is there any other questions or concerns? I'll call for a motion. Do I have anyone who wants to approve resolution?
I'll make the motion, Warren.
Okay,
Great.
Diane will make a motion to approve resolution 2020-45, declaring Sauk Center a Second Amendment dedicated city. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Heidi. Any other discussion? Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. 7J, 2020-46, authorizing use of MnDOT right-of-way.
On June 2nd, MnDOT posted its requirements allowing the use of the MnDOT road right-of-way for outdoor dining. And so the first step in the process would be the city to designate the authority responsible for issuing those permits. Generally, those designees are the mayor and the city administrator. I have in front of you Resolution 2020-46, authorizing an execution of agreement with the Commissioner of Transportation for these temporary outdoor dining in the road right-of-way permits. And then once this is passed, we send it to MnDOT, and then we're allowed to issue the permits here. They're not going to be, and we just notify them. We don't have to have them in the approval process. As long as we meet the requirements they gave us, which is about 10 pages long, then they will allow us to issue those. But the first step is to authorize and approve this resolution authorizing the execution of this agreement with the Commissioner of Transportation.
Questions, concerns? Do I have a motion to approve Resolution 2020-46, authorizing the Commissioner of Transportation for temporary outdoor dining in the road right-of-way?
So moved.
I have a motion by Keith. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Joe. Any other questions or concerns? Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. We will now move on to new business. Return to in-person meetings.
But with the expiration of the peacetime emergency, which is scheduled to expire on June 13th, I believe it is, the city then would begin to reconvene in-person meetings. We're only allowed to conduct virtual meetings like in a pandemic situation or where there's an emergency declared. And if it's continued, the city council, if you feel it's in your best interest to continue to meet virtually, you can. Otherwise, we will at our next council meeting in 2 weeks convene in person at City Hall. So it's just there's no action required tonight. It's just informational purposes for you. I think people are getting used to the Zoom meetings, and so this would be their first in-person meeting. But we would still have to try to keep under current guidelines down to either 10 people or 6 feet of distancing and do those types of things. So when we get closer to the date, if the peacetime emergency is extended, and we might extend, but at the current time, it's going to automatically revert back to in-person. So if you want to say if it's extended, we're going to continue with Zoom, or if you want to say we're just going to come back to our regular meetings, we can do that.
Questions, comments, concerns? I think if it was extended, basically, I think Vicky and I can take a look at that, because that still leaves it in our wheelhouse as far as doing that without council input. Not that I want to do that, but unless someone else thinks otherwise. Okay, then we will play this by ear, see what happens. If it expires, we'll see each other at the second meeting in-house. Then move on to our consent agenda, schedule of claims. Unpaid claims of $96,107.37 for a total of the same. Is there any questions or concerns on the consent calendar? Do I have a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Diane. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Keith. Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. Informational items.
Just have that one informational item that was in your packet. That's household hazardous waste collection. June 10th, Wednesday, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. It's still on. If it gets closer to the date and it gets extended or pushed out later, I will let you know. And then we'll also post it on our Facebook and get it out there for the public as well. Otherwise, pick up your paint and your cleaners and your garden chemicals, and it's a good, safe way to dispose of them. And it's free to all of the residents. So that's all I have.
Questions? Okay, that brings us to the end of our agenda. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I'll
Motion
second.
by Joe, second by Heidi. All the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
All right.
Opposed? Motion carries 5 in favor, none against. Meeting adjourned.